Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pokemon Platinum. We'll be going to, I call it the Riolu Island because you just meet some spiffy guy who gives you a Riolu egg after you do the really short dungeon on it.
Huh.
Oh, it's Iron Island.
Huh. Yeah, see, it has an actual name, so...
A very creative one.
Can you catch Riolu before this point in the story?
Not that I know. I think it's the only one in the game, unless you want to breed your Lucario.
Huh, okay.
You know, most actual, place names, whether they sound creative or not, aren't actually much more creative than Iron Island. Like, the words used mean just a basic thing in another language. And usually the people who named it speak that language, so to them it would be just as boring sounding as Iron Island.
It's really long Japanese sentence island. What does it mean? The place the guy died on island.
Yeah, it's one of those things about translations where sometimes you'll get like overzealous fan translators who will be like, no, it needs to be called such and such, and it means just something really simple like, like grassy land, and they'll be like, no, you have to call it Japanese word for grassy land because it means so much more, but it doesn't really. Usually, if it sounds dumb in English, it sounds just as dumb in Japanese. 9 times out of 10 from what I've found.
I mean, sometimes the Japanese, in particular, like to work puns into things, but that shit ain't translating whether you leave it in Japanese or not, so...
Yeah, you're best off either making a different pun or
not making a pun at all, and just leaving the name at its meaning.
There's actually, sometimes they're just not translatable. Like, for example... One of the DLC dungeons for Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse, they did some kind of pun where they did a pun on the name of the city Tokyo, which made it sound like, oh god, I know that the dungeon's called Eastern Madness in the English version, but it was just so untranslatable that they just could not get it to work in English. I forget specifically how the pun was, but you get a lot of that in Japanese because they do puns and wordplay and poetry and whatnot very different. That's why you never really have good English translated lyrics to like anime openings and stuff like that.
It's also why comedy anime rarely get translated as far as dubbing goes over here, because their humor is so based on puns and playing with the characters that it just doesn't work.
I think I think another thing is that there's a lot of big reactions are considered very funny in Japan. Like, I mean, big reactions are funny everywhere, but like extravagant reactions I think are considered much more funny to Japanese people because in general they're like, I don't want to make sweeping generalizations.
They're more restrained in general.
Yes. Yeah,
so
basically.
When a character is unrestrained, it's unusual to them, and that makes it funnier.
Yeah, so whereas somebody in English going like, whoa, is not as funny in English because we're already obnoxious.
That's just every YouTuber in existence, so
yeah,
we've seen it.
Yeah, we're already obnoxious, so acting obnoxious doesn't inherently make you funny over here, so yeah.
Yeah. I think you wound up stereotyping us more than the Japanese there.
You know what? Half of my burns are self-burns, so I'll take it. It happens. Now remind me, is this island optional?
No, you have to come here.
You have to come here? Okay, because I tend to forget a lot of the details about specific areas.
You have to get something from here to get the gym to activate, I believe.
Okay.
But going back to like badly translated place names in games and stuff, like my mind couldn't help but jump straight to East 8, and it's kind of glorious, and I'm kind of glad that localization happened just so that we have that one meme image.
Oh, is that the one with the giant hole?
The giant crevice, and I'm pretty sure in the Japanese version the word crevice was used in English, but they still translated it big hole.
Big hole, that's what it was called, big hole.
I don't get it. And
that game they had to retranslate that game. It was the translation was so bad.
It was the first East game translated by what company was it?
Nihon Falcon?
No, no, no,
Falcon?
no, no.
No,
That's the
Falcon's the
developer.
one that
The
makes the
developer.
game.
Yeah.
Oh god, I can't
Normally
remember.
Xseed was. I think Xseed was normally the company that translated their
That
games, but
that seems right.
they went to a different company for 8, and they didn't do a very good job, as that company is known for.
I believe that they have the better translation patched in now.
Okay.
Going back to play Ys 8 is actually something that I need to do because I played like 3 or 4 hours and I enjoyed what I played. I just didn't get a good chance to play a ton of it, so I
It's
really
weird.
should go back to try it.
It's weird. I find Ys like strangely less fun when it's like low budget 3D anime models as opposed to low budget charming sprite models. Something about it just changes the game feel. I couldn't really get into 8. I don't know why.
From what I remember, it didn't feel as fast as Origins and Oath and Felghana, you
Yeah.
know, and
Oh, well, I mean,
it doesn't have like the really old school, quirky charm of the, questionably good bump system from like 1 and 2. Because like I'm not gonna say that's a good battle system, but it's certainly fun once you get into it. Like there's certain points in Ys 2 especially where that game basically feels like a bullet hell, and you're like dodging gigantic projectile chains and whatnot, and it's
while
just
trying to hit
nuts.
the enemy at just the right diagonal angle to not get hit
Yeah, to
yourself.
not. Yeah. Man. The soundtracks for the Ys games are god tier, so I really liked Ys 3 Oath and Felghana is still one of my favorite action RPGs. So I need to go back and play. I need to finish Origins and also play. It was either 5 or 6 was the other game on that.
I need to finish like every goddamn Falcon game because like I own them all except for the Cold Steel games. I still need to get those on PS4.
Oh yeah, I
But
remember we had a conversation about Trails, and I was like, "Yeah, it's on my to-do list," and it still has not moved
Eventually.
up onto
I've
my.
played enough of each of them to love them, but I haven't finished any of them yet. I still need to finish the East games. Still need to do the Trails games. I have Gurumin, and I love Gurumin, but I haven't finished it yet.
Gurumin's great. It's like you know what? He's John. We need to get John to play Gurumin because that's like the only Brave Fencer Musashi sequel that he'll ever get. So
You're not wrong.
yeah.
I mean, there is that one they did on PS2, but we don't talk about that one.
isn't that the one you found in like a CVS or something like that?
Rite Aid.
Right.
$5. Rite
What,
Aid.
what's the difference?
I bought it at Rite Aid. I remember a Brave Fensu Musashi from a demo disc I played as a kid. I'm like, oh, this is a Musashi game. It's probably decent. No.
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 Uh, but yeah, I need to be better about. One thing I've been trying to do is finish games. Like that's something I'm terrible at
Yeah.
in history, and I kind of want to be better because I just want to say that I've finished stuff a little bit more.
I don't have time to finish anything these days. I wish I could say it was because they keep making these long-ass open-world games, but I can't finish the short games either.
Yeah, no,
And you're trying to go and get Fire Emblem at some point.
Yeah.
You know what? I just realized how much of a gigantic hypocrite I am because I just said, "Oh, I need to finish more games," but I literally just got Mega Man 11, which is like a 4-hour game, and I stopped halfway through today because Bounce Man stage can suck a dick. So
What you mean it's not just me?
well, I mean, okay, look, it is partly you, but that stage is also bad. So you can be right and wrong at the same time. Because like it's more that there was one part where towards the end where like you had to jump, like there's a gap with a bottomless pit, right? And there's an enemy that pops out of it, and so I was like, I didn't know that the first time, so I died, and then I was gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna wait until that enemy pops up this time and not do it, but the enemy doesn't pop up until you start to move, so then I died again, and then I ran out of lives, and I was just like, I'm gonna take a break. So maybe I'll finish it later. If Smash Brothers updated at a reasonable time, I would have been playing Hero instead. But
Now you know when this was recorded.
Oh,
I mean,
is that coming out today?
yeah, it comes
Yeah.
out hopefully this evening because
Well, unless you get the generic servers crashing error message.
one of my favorite
Right.
things on Twitter I saw this week was somebody took like the notification sound from from Switch, and they remixed it to the theme of the Dragon Quest III Overworld theme to be like, this is the theme of everybody trying to download Hero, and it's just like the tung 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 tung. Like, did you guys ever see the Pokemon Windows 98 remix, or it might have been Windows XP, where they make it out of the Windows XP noises? It's the best thing. I'm pretty sure I've talked about it on BrainScratch before, but it is one of the funniest things I've seen in my entire life. I love it.
Can't say I've heard it.
I'm 90% sure I've shown it off. I've shown it to you guys before, but it might have been years ago. So, because it's just one of my favorite videos, so I show it. I try to tell people about it relatively frequently. But yeah, oh god. What are other games I need to? Well, I have to start Secret of Mana. I didn't even start that. I did start because I got the Mana collection a couple of weeks ago. I tried Final Fantasy Adventure, the first one, but that game's old and I wasn't having fun.
It's also on the Game Boy.
Yeah, so I wasn't gonna
even get into that when it originally came out because I'd already played like Link's Awakening, and it's like so much smoother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, by the time this video goes up, we might be playing that.
Yeah. The Link's Awakening remake, I'm not sure if I'm gonna get that right away. If only just because it's $60 for a game that I bought for $5 on the 3DS seems a little much. But it does look to be like a really, really good version of that game, so I don't know. Maybe. It depends. I'm not sure.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I mean, part of that is because I'm just such a massive Link's Awakening fan, but on the other hand, I don't necessarily consider them equal value packages when one of them has all this remake work put into it and another is just an emulation ROM.
Yeah, that is also true.
Of a version of a game that frankly has a lot of issues.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how it compares to like what the people consider the best 2D Zeldas when you fix the big problem with Link's Awakening, which was just that
the lack of buttons.
The lack of buttons, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, I'd personally put Link's Awakening up there with Link to the Past in terms of overall quality. But that might be nostalgia talking. I don't know. I'm not too big on 2D Zeldas, so I'm not the person to ask.
Okay, remind me, what do the red things do in this dungeon? Are they
those are just barrels.
Oh, they're just barrels. Okay. Oh, they are barrels. Oh, wait, hold on. Can we get our fire type to shoot them and explode the whole place?
Sadly, no.
Oh, man, this game ruins video games. Like, everybody knows video games. If you see a giant red barrel, you need to shoot it and it'll explode. That's how these things work.
Yeah, basically.
If we were doing this in an image format, I'd like mock up some hyper-reactionary thumbnail for a video about someone ranting about it, because that's the thing to do these days.
Is rant about exploding barrels on YouTube?
Look, if there's a topic you can be a reactionary to, the lucrative thing to do in the year 2019 is to make one video every 2 days ranting about the topic in a slightly different way, so that you get all the ad revenue.
You mean how, like, people who have been complaining about Pokemon Sword and Shield have been uploading the same video 5 times a week?
Yeah. Pokemon Sword and Shield, Tifa's Chest, all that kind of stuff. You get these channels that do, like, a video a day about it. Just, like, a slightly different rant about the same exact thing. So...
Actually, you know what? This goes as far back as, like, Star Wars Episode 8, now that I'm thinking about it. Because it's just, like... Why Star Wars Episode 8 ruined Star Wars? And it's like 6 different reasons, but it's all the same.
The reason they do that is because they're trying to flood the search engines so that people who search the thing get at least one of their videos. So they get a ton of views, and it's obnoxious. And they also pop up in your recommendations a lot. So it's just underhanded bullshit.
Thank Christ that you can disable like recommendations on specific channels.
I'm very thankful for that.
You know what? YouTube
I've-
has not done a lot of good lately, but that's that. At least there's that.
My recommendations look so much nicer ever since I knocked 2 specific channels out of my recommendations, and they're the channels that do like 60 different videos on every controversial topic. And the thing about that is, it's especially effective because the controversial topics are also the ones people comment on a lot. So they get a lot of points with the algorithms that way.
Yeah, because everybody has to get into a big internet fight.
Someone's
love
wrong on the internet.
It has been very. I've been trying very, very hard to not engage with the big internet fights. It is surprisingly difficult to let someone be wrong on the internet. Like it's embarrassingly hard that I can't just be like, all right, they can think that. I'm going to leave them alone, and it's just like, no, they're wrong on the internet. I have to stop them. What if other people think they're not wrong? You don't understand. It's important.
The people who invented the internet should have thought about how opinionated humans could be before they unleashed it into the wild. The internet was a mistake, clearly.
You know what? I'm kind of wondering what the internet would have been like if, like, during the Renaissance or whatever, if people were just being like, Moliere's a jackass, and there would have been 16,000 Moliere conspiracy theories or whatever.
Did you hear this Galileo guy saying the Earth moves around the sun? What an idiot! Let's troll his forum.
I got a great idea, guys. Let's contact the Pope and have him sent to the Inquisition. Oh man, such a great prank! Oh my God, the Renaissance version of swatting would be inquisitioning. Oh God.
Oh Jesus.
Oh God.
You're not wrong.
It's sad that I'm not though. So, God. I hate the world and everything in it.
You know, wouldn't it be funny if that was how the Salem witch hunts happened? Swatting.
No, the Salem witch hunts in using modern day internet would just be a Twitter fight between the girls.
Yeah, probably, but it's
and posting clearly staged reaction vids to like spooky shit going around in their rooms.
You know, since I live in Boston, so I'm like Salem is like I think like what maybe a 30-minute drive if the traffic's good. Which,
So
if I remember correctly,
I would say never.
Yeah, so, I mean, don't go to Salem between, like, September and October, though, because it's literally, you will get trampled and die. But because it was so close, you know, we did history presentations and stuff on the Salem witches, and it's just, basically, it's just like either these girls wouldn't have sex with people, or they did have sex with people, and they're just like, oh, they didn't have sex with me, grar, I'm gonna say she's a witch. Or, oh my God, she had sex with someone that's not her husband. Grar, I'm gonna say she's a witch. That's basically...
It's almost like the Puritans were a bunch of freaking idiots.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So,
you know, not everyone thinks so. Every so often I run into interesting books in the warehouse at work, and one of them was a book on the case for Puritanism. In the year 2019.
So basically, stop having fun in any way, shape, or form, and just pray to God all the time.
Oh,
okay.
It's not repression. It's the journey for true happiness.
Fuck off.
That's straight up like JRPG villain talk. It's just like if you get rid of all happiness, you get rid of all anger, and then everybody lives in peace or whatever. That is some like straight up.
That's literally what Cyrus is doing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's also murdering everybody, but I assume that there would be at least some murder if they were going to go for, like, pure Puritanism, because, you know, anybody who's not Christian just can't be around, so...
It's just, you know, human nature is that we're really intelligent, and really intelligent animals get bored easily. Like, the more intelligent the creature, the more you need to do to keep your brain, you know, from dying of boredom. So, like, repressive lifestyles kind of explode.
And then when that happens, people start doing crazy shit like inventing things.
Yeah, that's why like monkeys and dolphins are jackasses, pretty much, is because they're smart. They're smart enough to be assholes, you know. That's why like dogs for the most part are like such kind-hearted animals, it's because they're too dumb to be mean. You know.
It's not necessarily mean, it's more curiosity, which translates into messing with things to see what happens.
Well, I mean, sometimes they can be mean, but yeah, for the like in most situations, it's gonna be, just like, oh man. Well, sometimes it's also just straight up learned behavior. Like I believe, I forget what species of monkey it was, but there was it's like some sort of temple in, I think maybe India. I'm probably misremembering this, but there was a group of monkeys around like this temple that's a big tourist attraction, and they learned to steal foreigners' stuff like sunglasses or wallets so that they would give them food in order for them to give it back. Like they had no interest in these
In the object
items
itself.
other than we can.
That the humans wanted it.
Yeah, so they learned how to be thieves, and I believe the monks that ran the temple or whatever they were kept them around because tourists liked them and thought they were funny. Yeah, so
Yeah,
intelligence was a mistake. All right, we should go back to being slugs.
Monkeys really are big on learned behavior now that I'm thinking about it, yeah. They're one of the few animals that learns to use tools, if I remember correctly. Like sticks to get food out, that kind of thing.
A lot of individual, like, isolated areas are apparently, like, starting to get into their own little stone ages.
Ooh, wow. That's exciting and also scary because Planet of the Apes will happen and we'll all die.
No, according to the new movies, it was a virus that did it. Ooh.
Oh god, I haven't watched
It wasn't the folly of mankind that did it.
Well,
yeah, long-running franchises based on old classics. No. let's
It's almost like it was
stop.
almost like it was. It's almost like it was better when it was a mystery and we had no idea what actually caused it.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
Thanks, James Franco.
It's kind of like Planet of the Apes has the ending of a really good like science fiction dystopian novel.
Well, I mean, it's aside from Darth Vader, it's basically the twist of cinema.
where you end it, where you think he escapes and then he sees the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of the new Apes movies. How do they make up and find peace between monkey and people?
No, the latest one basically starts with the apes more or less finding the spot where Charlton Heston crashes in the first movie.
Okay. Is it supposed to be like
I mean,
prequel?
the only they're prequels. The
Okay.
only good parts about them is the Andy Serkis mocap is really good.
Well, of course it is, because he's like an amazing actor.